This is Roland Finger, and this is English 212A. We've done some work on Christopher Columbus and Las Casas. I just wanted to add a little bit and congratulate you on the great work you've done so far. I was very impressed with your comments on Columbus and Las Casas. And so, one thing I wanted to mention about Columbus's historic voyage in 1492. Ferdinand and Isabella, the king and queen who supported Columbus's mission, had just regained power over the Iberian Peninsula, Spain. They had taken it back from the Muslims who had held power over Spain for centuries. And so when they regained power and funded Columbus, this was a way to expand themselves and feel a growth of Catholic power. And at the same time that Columbus was sailing out of Spain, when he was going down a river toward the ocean, he passed Muslims and Jews who were getting expelled from Spain. And so there was this desire for Spanish power, Spanish Catholic power. I want to say a few other things about the voyages of Columbus. They were incredibly important in world history. And one thing we have to note is they enabled the spreading of Europeans at an unprecedented rate in world history. There was a major westernizing force after that sailing, and it really can't be underestimated. Also, the voyages fed into major changes in wealth in the world, scientific advancements, militaristic advancements, and Spain benefited majorly from this. Other European powers would also benefit majorly from this. Also, the voyages caused a redistribution of life forms that had not really taken place since the continents had been divided through tectonic plate shifts. And so this meant that a lot of food products from the Americas would get passed into other parts of the world, things like tomatoes, corn, also lots of animals and food items would also be brought into the Americas where they would thrive. And so those are a couple of major points I wanted to go over. Most people view the Columbian voyages as Columbus seeking a route to Asia. He wanted to establish a way to tap into the wealth of Asia. The overland land routes were controlled by Muslims, and it was very expensive and very difficult for Europeans to conduct this kind of trade with Asia. So ocean routes were desired. And that's the major sort of like school of thought, that he was seeking a way to get to Asia. There is a minority of scholars who think that he really didn't intend to make to the Indies at all. And these people are kind of like strange. They're almost like conspiracy theorists. And they believe that Columbus knew that he was reaching the Americas. Most people really don't believe this school. But one item of support they bring up is Columbus goes to these different islands and he says he takes possession of them for the king and queen. If they were islands that were attached to Japan or China or India, it seems strange that he would just assume that he could have power, dominion over them. This could also just be this idea of Spanish power and Spanish conquest that came about because Spaniards were high on their power after expelling the Muslims from Spain and also kicking a lot of Jews out and forcing some to convert. And so that is a really controversial school of thought on Columbus. I just wanted to bring it up. A few other points I would like to make, or here goes one from Carlos Fuentes. And this is a very critical perspective on Columbus. He says that there are still a lot of Americans out there who think that natives were in the Bahamas, and they were just really happy that Columbus discovered them. And pretty much they were exclaiming, "You found us! We've been waiting so long." Columbus also wanted 10% of all the profits that came from the New World. And in the the letter to Ferdinand Isabella from the fourth voyage, we can see a lot of his sadness about feeling cut out of the American deal. And so some of that is on these pages right here. And then it's interesting that in this letter from the fourth voyage, he talks about how the lands have been ruined, drained, people have been killed, and he himself participated in this. And so it's almost like he's forgetting that he was involved in a lot of this. He also participated in a lot of the exploitation. He may not have been the most severe of the exploiters, but he was right up there. And so that's a little bit on Columbus. I think that you've definitely had a chance to look at Las Casas, and Las Casas is the best at exploring the major extreme exploitation that was happening in the Americas. Here goes something that is a little strange, though, too, and I just want to read a little critically, and so I'll highlight it right here. It's actually not highlighted on my computer, but it's on page 40, top of the page. I have the little arrow around it, and so I'll read it to you and then comment on it. The Spaniards did not content themselves with what the Indians gave them of their own free will, according to their ability, which was always too little to satisfy enormous appetites, for a Christian eats and consumes in one day an amount of food that would suffice to feed 3 houses inhabited by 10 Indians for 1 month. And so this seems like an exaggeration. I can't imagine that Europeans ate more than the natives, but to eat this much in one day seems rather incredible. This isn't to say that I don't believe that the Spaniards were committing all these major atrocities, stabbing people, killing babies, raping women. That was definitely happening. But he does go a little over the top when he talks about the food. I just want to put that out there for everybody. And so you've been doing great work. I'm signing off. I'm looking forward to working with you in the second week. We will be doing a little more posting on each other's comparisons of Columbus and Las Casas, and we'll work on a Theodore Gall image of Amerigo Vespucci, and then we'll get into the text of John Smith, and you'll complete a little writing assignment on that. And I'll provide commentary and feedback for you throughout. Thank you. You're good students.